to order. Without objection, the chair is authorized to declare a recess of the committee at any time. As a reminder, I ask all members to keep themselves muted when they are not being recognized. This will minimize disturbances while members are asking questions of our witnesses. The staff have been instructed not to mute members except where a member is not being recognized and there is inadvertent background noise. Members are also reminded that they may only participate in one remote proceeding at a time. If you are participating today, please keep your cameras on, and if you choose to attend a different remote proceeding, please turn your camera off. Today, we will make an exception and allow members from Texas to participate without their video function if they are experiencing power outages that prevent them from having their videos working. If members wish to be recognized during the hearing, please identify yourself by name to facilitate recognition. I would also ask that members be patient as the chair proceeds, given the nature of conducting committee business virtually. So, this hearing is entitled Game Stopped: Who Wins and Loses When Short Sellers, Social Media, and Retail Investors Collide. I now recognize myself for 3 minutes to give an opening statement. Good afternoon, everyone. This hearing will be the first in a series of hearings for the committee to examine the recent market volatility involving GameStop and other stocks. I want to know how each of the witnesses here today and the companies they represent contributed to the historic trading events in January. This recent market volatility has put a national spotlight on institutional practices by Wall Street firms and prompted discussion about the evolving role of technology and social media in our markets. These events have illuminated potential conflicts of interest and the predatory ways that certain funds operate, and they have demonstrated the enormous potential power of social media in our markets. They have also raised issues involving gamification of trading, potential harm to retail investors, and the business models of apps with retail investors as their users. All of this is why we have witnesses from many of the key players here to testify today, including witnesses representing Wall Street firms Melvin Capital and Citadel, social media company Reddit, trading app Robinhood, as well as one of the retail investors involved. In subsequent hearings, we will hear from regulators and other experts regarding these events, including why Dodd-Frank rulemakings related to short-selling disclosures were never implemented. Many Americans feel that the system is stacked against them, and no matter what, Wall Street always wins. In this instance, many retail investors appeared motivated by a desire to beat Wall Street at its own game, and given the losses that many retail investors have sustained as a result of volatility in the system, there are many whose belief that the system is rigged against them has been reinforced. Others have noted that there are winners and there are losers in every trade in our financial markets. Our role as a Financial Services Committee is to ensure fairness in our financial markets and system, robust protections for investors, and accountability for Wall Street. Today, we will hear firsthand from the witnesses regarding these events. The hearing will be an opportunity for this committee to get the facts about the role each of the entities the witnesses represent played in the events we are examining today. Now, I recognize the ranking member of the committee, the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. McHenry, for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. And let me just begin by saying I believe Americans are far more sophisticated, informed, and capable than people in DC give them credit for. When I called for this hearing last month, I wanted this to be a fact-finding mission. We have speculation, we have headlines and finger-pointing, but we don't have the facts. We need facts, not just the salacious bits or nasty comments on Reddit. And look, there's plenty of that. We need the facts today. Now, some on the left are already floating new restrictions or things to, quote, protect these so-called uninformed retail investors who, in their eyes, don't know the difference between the Dogecoin and the Dow Jones without Congress telling them. I think if we've learned anything from the past few weeks, it's that these average everyday investors are pretty darn sophisticated. There is wisdom to the crowd. So let's zoom out on that idea just for a moment. The GameStop story represents a larger truth. A fundamental change is happening. Like never before, everyday investors can communicate, access more information, and work collectively to move markets, all in real time. Technology is fueling this revolution. Congress cannot put technology back in the box. GameStop is the culmination of years of pent-up frustration. That frustration is now paired with faster, cheaper, and better technology. Consider for a moment that for every story of someone being able to pay off their student debt from the GameStop trade, or conversely, every story of someone who lost money, there were stories of those who said they were investing in protest. In protest, they would gladly risk losing money just to prove a point. And now, and while no one should ever risk investing money that they cannot afford to lose, let's tell the truth of why someone would do something like that. The sad truth is the K-shaped economy is nothing new in our capital markets because the structural core of our regulations literally enshrined in equity. Policies like the accredited investor definition blatantly pick winners and losers. If you're wealthy, you're good to go. And if you're not, you're deemed too dumb to be trusted with your own money. So a privileged few get to invest alongside Ivy League endowments, getting early access in private markets to the greatest returns of the last 2 generations. But not so fast for the average everyday investor. In the eyes of our government, you need to be protected. Protected from your own decisions, protected from your own money, protected from more opportunities. So you are left with a savings account which pays no interest. And if you need more money than that, well, we created a world where it's easier to go buy a lottery ticket than it is to invest in the next Google. Is it any wonder why the unhealthy dynamics of GameStop happened? It's time we get serious about equity and ownership in the American economy. We should live in a world where the construction worker or Uber driver trading on Robinhood has the same access to equity shares in Robinhood itself as the white-collar employees who work there. Same goes for Reddit and Reddit users, by the way. Both contributed to its success. Why can't both share in its future success? So I'll conclude with a reminder for some of my colleagues who want to regulate more and more. In the 1980s, Massachusetts state regulators barred citizens from investing in what the Wall Street Journal called the latest in a cascade of stocks of high technology companies that occurred that year. What IPO was too risky in the eyes of the government? Apple. So instead of shutting the American public out through new regulations, new forms of taxation, or so-called protections, let's use this opportunity instead to side with them. So I'll begin where I started. Americans are far more sophisticated, informed, and capable than folks in DC give them credit for. And it's time our securities laws treat them that way. I look forward to the hearing, and I yield back.
Thank you so very much. I'm so pleased that you are cooperating today and you were eager to join with us when we call for this committee. So I want to welcome today's distinguished witnesses to the committee. Mr. Vlad Tenev is the Chief Executive Officer of Robinhood Markets Incorporated, a company with a trading app that, after increased trading activity in GameStop and certain other stocks, restricted trading of those stocks for a period of time. Mr. Kenneth C. Griffin is the Chief Executive Officer of Citadel, LLC, a fund which is one of Robinhood's main customers and sources of revenue, which also provided financial support to Melvin Capital Management, LP, when Melvin faced significant losses over GameStop and other trades. Gabriel Cobb is the Chief Executive Officer of Melvin Capital Management, LP, which held a significant short position in GameStop and other stocks and experienced significant losses due to its positions. Steve Huffman is the Chief Executive Officer, co-founder of Reddit, a social media platform which is home to the subreddit Wall Street Bets, where retail investors discuss trading and where a large number of members discuss the purchase of GameStop and other stocks which experience volatility. Mr. Keith Gill is a retail investor who posted on Reddit and YouTube regarding investing in GameStop and other stocks. Jennifer Gaup is a director of financial regulation studies at the Cato Institute. Without objection, your written statements will be made part of the record. Each of you will have 5 minutes to summarize testimony.
Chairman here. It was I believe that there are only 3 minutes of Democratic opening statements with the idea that the subcommittee chair on the Democratic side would be called as well. That's what I was told by your staff.
Well, thank you very much. If that is the order that has been organized, I will cease my introductions and I will call on you, Mr. Sherman, to please go ahead and make an opening statement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Back in the day, the law school professor would create an exam where he'd weave together a story that would exemplify each of the issues in that area of the law. But never did the professor do it as good a job as the GameStop saga, which identifies most of the issues facing our capital markets. Short selling. Could there be limits or required additional disclosures? What do we do with market participants, whether they be on Reddit or on Wall Street, who are shorting a stock or buying a stock for the purpose of influencing its price? What is this payment for order flow model? And what does it mean when some participants get best execution and some get enhanced best execution? In price enhanced best execution, and all traders being treated fairly, and is payment for order flow free to the consumer? We need to look at the plumbing where it takes 2 days to settle a transaction, but also why is it the broker's capital rather than the customer's capital that is posted during the 2-day period? And finally, we need to look at the gamification and glorification of high frequency trading. I thank the chairwoman for the time, and I hope that in the months to come, we have several hearings to explore these issues, and that we're able to pass legislation this year to deal with each of them, and I yield back.
Thank you. The chair now recognizes the chairman of the Subcommittee of Oversight and Investigations, the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Green, for 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to express some concerns that I have. It is a fact that Citadel Securities has paid over $100 million in penalties. And my concern is this. It deals with whether we can allow a market maker's profits from misleading clients and improperly trading ahead of clients to become something as simple as the cost of doing business. The risk of punishments for violations must always exceed the rewards to deter the risk. I'm concerned, and my hope is that we'll get some additional intelligence on how these punishments have impacted the rewards that have been received. I yield back.
Thank you very much. And I will go back to the introduction of our witnesses. I left off with Jennifer Gaup, Director of Financial Regulation Studies at the Cato Institute. Without objection, Your written statements will be made part of the record. Each of you will have 5 minutes to summarize your testimony. You should be able to see a timer on your screen that will indicate how much time you have left, and a chime will go off at the end of your time. I would ask you to be mindful of the timer and quickly wrap up your testimony if you hear the chime. Now, before we begin with your oral testimonies, I would like to swear in the witnesses. I will call each of your names individually to respond. Would you please raise your hands? Do you solemnly swear to affirm that the testimony you will give before this committee in the matters now under consideration will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Mr. Tenev?
I do.
Mr. Griffin?
I do.
Mr. Plotkin? Mr. Plotkin?
I was muted. I apologize. I do.
Thank you. Mr. Huffman?
I do.
Mr. Gill?
I do.
Ms. Scott?
I do.
Thank you very much. Let the record show that all of the witnesses answered in the affirmative. We will now begin with their oral testimonies. Mr. Tenev, you are recognized for 5 minutes to present your oral testimony.
Chairwoman Waters, Ranking Member McHenry, members of the committee. My name is Vlad Tenev, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of Robinhood. Thank you for the invitation to speak about Robinhood and the millions of people we serve. Almost 8 years ago, Beju Bhatt and I founded Robinhood. We believed then, as we do now, that the financial system should be built to work for everyone, not just a select few. We dreamed of making investing more accessible, especially for people without a lot of money. The stock market is a powerful wealth creator, but only half of U.S. households participate in it.
Mr. Staff, I would like you to use your limited time to talk directly to what happened January 28th and your involvement in it.
Certainly.
Madam Chair, the witness has the opportunity to give their own testimony.
Excuse me,
You
you are
can use your
not
time for your questioning.
You are not recognized, Mr. Please go right ahead and speak directly to the question.
McHenry.
Mr. McHenry, yes, of course.
We created Robinhood to economically empower all Americans by opening financial markets to them. I was born in Bulgaria, a country with a financial system that was on the verge of collapse. At the age of 5, I immigrated with my family to America in search of a better life. I have benefited from all America has to offer, and Robinhood's mission to democratize finance for all has a very special significance for me. Robinhood's platform allows people from all backgrounds to invest with no account minimums and 0 commissions. Contrary to some very misleading and highly uninformed reports, we see evidence that most of our customers are investing for the long term, with features like fractional shares, dividend reinvestment, recurring investments. Our customers can start with small amounts and grow their investments in blue chip stocks and ETFs over time. We've always recognized the responsibility that comes with helping people invest. We'll continue to enhance our educational platform to help customers no matter where they are in their financial journey. Hundreds of free educational resources are available to everyone on our Learn website right now. While markets fluctuate, this tells me our business model is working for everyday Americans. The total value of our customers' assets on Robinhood exceeds the net amount of money they have deposited with us by over $35 billion. This tells me our business model is working for everyday Americans. The Robinhood